welcome again to Summit, another edition of the program. I am Chumuke Michaels. The recent FCT polls that's talking about the council elections, which held in the city of Abuja, have raised a critical question. Why are fewer Nigerians showing up to vote? In the last election in year 2023, national voter turnout stood at roughly 27%, according to statistics, one of the lowest since 1999. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Good to have you on Summit.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for always obliging.
Thanks so much. My pleasure.
You're welcome, sir.
Thanks.
All right, so looking at that election which held recently, it recorded noticeably low voter turnout. And from your assessment, how historically significant is this decline compared to previous FCT local elections?
Well, we may be making a mistake if we do not back our assertion with data, with statistics. Contrary to the general belief that the last local government polls in Abuja witnessed further or greater level of apathy than had been the case before. That actually wasn't the case. If you look at the 2022 turnout figure and compare to now to the one that was just held, you will discover that this actually had a slightly bigger turnout than you had in 2022. But sometimes the way we do things in this country, we just look at things on the surface and then we reach conclusion, especially when the critics want to drive their narrative. If you look at the narrative of voter apathy, it was actually driven more by the opposition parties. PDP said it's a sign of lack of maybe trust in the system and all of that. Yes, the turnout wasn't what it was supposed to be. It can be better, but if you go and compare with 2022 turnout percentage or figure, you will discover that the last poll had a slightly bigger voter turnout than the one of 2022. But that is not to say, I mean, one just has to put that in proper context. Okay. But that is not to say that the voter apathy is still not there, especially when it comes to local government elections in this country. Abuja is even a bit better because it is the only local government elections that are organized by INEC, which still gives it some bigger level of credibility than you have for the local government elections that are conducted by CX, State Independent Electoral Commissions. And you will know that before now there has been this agitation by from some quarters that the CX should even be scrapped because they are not really helping the cause of democracy, because almost all local government elections that are conducted by CX, you see the ruling party in the state sweeping the polls, and so that has created credibility.
It's become like a normal thing.
It's a normal thing. So that may also account for the serious, voter apathy, the serious level of voter apathy that is always witnessed in local government polls. So, like I've said, so it's not as if it is what it is supposed to be, and it all has to do with the institutional trust and system trust issue the credibility issue that or deficit that has existed between the voters and our electoral system. The only way for us to really change this narrative is for our electoral system to be seen to actually be as one that actually makes the voter, the votes count. Yeah. So when people know that their votes will actually count, then there will be more trust in the system and they want to participate. So political participation is a product of the trust that the people have in the system. And so the only way to change the present narrative of voter apathy, even at national elections, you see that maybe at best you just have like 30% voter participation, total voter turnout. So we need to change the narrative. We need to make our electoral system as credible as possible so that we can have more inclusivity in elections.
All right. So also before these elections, there have been several issues in the FCT. Worker strikes, protests, threats here and there. Do you think that could be one of the things that fueled political tension around FCT before and even during this election?
Yes, but you will discover that later, the issue of strikes and all of that was resolved between the minister and the organized labor. For me, I do not think that that could have contributed much, because when you even look at it, what is the percentage of the civil servants, among the voting populace? So I do not think that could have contributed. I don't think so. And again, it was long resolved before the election. Like I've said, it's just an issue of so many Nigerians, but it's not only in Nigeria. When you look at the voting pattern globally, not even in the US, you understand, do you have up to say 70% voter participation? So, and that is why you discover that political parties is just maybe I don't know whether our conversation will still get to that point. They have a role to play in mobilizing the populace, towards political participation.
Yeah, now that you have mentioned the issue of the political parties, how deeply do you think these internal party tensions before and during the polls, factional battles and all that, how deeply do you think all this influences voter confidence? Because at the end of the day, it still all comes back to the people.
Yeah. Definitely. Again, you see, the narrative that we push to the people about our system, political parties should understand that whether you are in government or you are in opposition, whatever narrative that we push out to the people, we as a way of bouncing back on the system, and and it can be self-immolating, so to speak, self-destructive. Now, because you discover that the opposition parties before now, when you as an opposition party, you are saying that the ruling party wants to rig or has perfected plan to rig the election. What are you telling the people? You understand? Don't come. Even your own supporters may look at it and say, okay, after all, they have said that they want to rig. And you are just saying this. You don't really even have enough fact to back up what you are saying. But because you want to put the ruling party on its toe, and you now say the ruling party has perfected plan to rig and all of that, and then the people hear that, if I have heard that the ruling party has perfected plans to rig the election, why, I mean, is it worth my time to now go out to go and still vote in the same election? So sometimes the political parties, in the name of playing opposition, you understand, do a disservice to themselves by the narrative they push out to the people, and the people believe. And so for me, some of these things that we say, that we say, will ultimately impact people's confidence and trust in the system.
Okay, but for you, looking at that election, what do you perceive or observe rather as being the main challenges with that election?
The main, if you look at it again, one of the main challenges, I'm still talking about this voter apathy.
Yeah.
You understand? And that is why I'm talking about the narrative that is being pushed out to the people. You discover that before now, even long before the election, before the local government elections in FCT, the opposition has been up with this narrative that the country is drifting towards a one-party state.
Yeah.
You understand? And this is what I say. Well, one-party state is not something that anybody can just wish into existence. Not even the ruling party can wish it into existence, because it's a constitutional matter. It's a constitutional matter. You cannot just, the APC, whether they cannot, yes, they may want to weaken the opposition parties and all of that. But as long as our constitution does not, provide for a one-party state, if the opposition organizes itself very well, you understand, just like APC did against PDP, who says that power cannot be, wrestled from them. So this, for me, the challenge, the general air of, distrust among the parties, or between the political actors, I think has had some effect or some impact on the election, even before the election time. So people sort of probably many people sort of just came to the conclusion that it's a one-party state, whether you like it or not, the ruling party will still have its way. So why do I need to really bother myself or waste my time going out to vote? But I must say that, like I said, the FCT has the advantage of being the only space, you understand, the only local government elections, that are usually organized by INEC, and that still gives it some credibility. I know that the fact that PDP was still able to win a chairmanship seat and some councillorship seats still has to do with the fact that it was organized by INEC. If it were one of these CX, that might not have happened.
All right. Now, still talking about the issues of low turnout for the elections in the FCT. How dangerous is the issues of low turnout for democratic legitimacy and future elections in Nigeria? Because if you ask me, I feel that the level of confidence that people have as time goes by is not increasing. You understand? And we have an election, both presidential and gubernatorial, in about a year's time, just approximately 1 year's time. So going forward, this issue of low turnout is not getting any better.
Yeah, it's a dangerous trend that needs to be addressed as quickly as possible. We need to be as deliberate, as intentional as possible in reversing that trend, because democracy is said to be the government by the majority. But where you have that, the opposite now becomes the case, where you have people where you have very low political participation. And so you will discover that our own kind of democracy may not turn out to be the government of a minority. Because even look at the last presidential election. What was the number of registered voters was I think about 70-something million. And how many people participated, at the end of the day? Not even up to 30 million, not far below that. You understand? So at the end of the day, and that is why you will discover that the present president, won with maybe he led with about 2 million votes, and then the opposition, the two other candidates that followed him, won 6 million, the other 6 million. Maybe that might not have been the case if more supporters of the opposition had come out to vote. You understand? So you discover that at the end of the day, it is what it is. It is the one that has the majority number of votes that we still, it does not matter if we are 100 in this place, for example, and they say we should come and vote. We all have the right to vote. All of us 100, have the right to vote. But if only 20 people come out to vote, you understand? Whoever that emerges,
we accept.
We will accept.
We don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice. Meanwhile, maybe the rest 80 of us will now be complaining. He's not doing it right. He's not. But you had your chance to to make your vote speak. You had your chance, but did you exercise that right? So, and that is what is happening in Nigeria. So many of us are very good critics of government, but when it now comes to, coming to express our feelings through the ballot box, we back out. So this is not a very good trend for democracy.
All right, so this FCT poll, even if it's a council poll, local government level, but can it be a predictive indicator for future gubernatorial or presidential election?
I don't believe it.
Okay.
I don't believe it. And you see, this is one of the things that I said about what the narrative that the opposition party pushes out to the people. Don't forget, I think it was the former one of the leading opposition figures. I think the former Minister of Sports also, Dalong, that said whoever that wins Hamak, Abuja Municipal Area Council, will be the eventual winner of the president of the 2027 election. That's too frivolous for me a call to make, because and at the end of the day, maybe as at the time he was saying that, he had thought that his party will win the Abuja Municipal Area Council. Maybe they were confident. I don't know what gave him the confidence. Now APC has won. APC won, and APC they are now buoyed by that statement that they are saying that after all he has made a prediction that whoever that wins the AMAC election will be. So if tomorrow APC wins either by default or whatever, they win the presidential election, you have a reference point already. After all, you said it that we will. And so for me, that narrative, the opposition needs to be mindful of what they need to be very very careful about what they say, what they push out there. For me, yes, this election, the Abuja is just, what is the percentage of Abuja compared to the rest of the country? So it will be politically naive of anybody to want to use what has happened in Abuja, as a gauge, as a barometer, to gauge what the political situation will be in 2027. For me, I don't really believe that. And when you look at it, they say it all the time that a day in politics is a very long time. A day in politics is a very dynamic change, tight turn.
A lot can still happen in 1 year.
Tight turn. You understand? So we still have about 1 year to the presidential elections, and a lot of things can come into play. A lot of dynamics, a lot of things. You understand? Within the vortex of issues that are cropping up in the country. So many things can happen that can change the narrative. So for me, it will be politically naive. Not even the ruling party will be deceiving itself to now say that because we won Abuja Area Council, we have clinched 2027 election. That will be politically naive as far as I am concerned.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that happened during the former late President Muhammadu Buhari's regime of the APC administration was the NSAS protest. Now, if you look at things critically, would you say that the momentum of civic movements, like that issue of NSAS, is one of the things that has permanently altered political participation patterns? Do you think that affected anything, in the terrain of people's participation, belief in leadership and all that?
The NSAS protest was largely driven by our youths, you understand? And if things must change in the country, the youths, have a very big role to play, perhaps more than the older generation. And so when you look at talking about this political participation, we may also want to interrogate the level of participation of our youths in political affairs. How many of our 18 plus vote in elections? So talking about NSAS now, NSAS is not supposed, or was not supposed to be the destination. You understand? It was supposed to be a vehicle towards a destination. And so maybe I will just say that our youths, they still have much more to do, to arouse the interest of the people in the polity, to ensure that. So I don't think that NSAS, for me, NSAS, yes, it achieved the purpose of securing some what I will call cosmetic structural adjustment in the police system, maybe, but it should even go beyond just the NSAS. We need a total overhaul of our system, and a total overhaul of our system. And I believe that if our youth, the same energy that they brought into NSAS, if they sustain it, maybe things will be better. You understand? So rather than being the reason why disinterest in the political affairs, whether that being it should increase, it should arouse, the interest of the people.
Push them to
come out for elections. So that is so, because NSAS, like I've said, is not the destination. It's just a vehicle towards a destination. And if we are now saying NSAS, NSAS is the reason why people are not showing interest in political participation. It then means that it has actually achieved the very opposite of what it is supposed to achieve.
All right. Now, let's talk about a bit more about solutions now. What urgent warning would you give political leaders based on this issue of low turnout that we are seeing, and things are not getting better?
No,
what are the warnings or solutions you can prefer?
The political leaders need to be, even when it is benefiting, even the people that the system is benefiting, they need to be worried. You understand? Because if you suppress people's feelings, when there is so much distrust, you understand? When there is so much loss of confidence in the system, it is dangerous. You understand?
Yeah.
It is dangerous. You know, the system can implode at any time. You understand? If people do not, people will always find a way to express, you know, their feelings. You understand? Those feelings are better expressed in the ballot box. They should not be expressed somehow. But when people's feelings are suppressed, when they know that their feelings, you know, cannot be expressed through the ballot box, they may find another way of expressing it, which may not augur well for the country. And that is why, you know, the leadership must show concern. They must instill confidence back into the system, so that people can have trust in our electoral system can be more credible, and people will participate, so that they don't vent the anger of their frustration on the entire system. So that is, so the solution for me is we need institutional and systemic reorganization.
That's both for even the ruling party and the opposition
parties. Of course, the ruling party, you know, the whole country will be sitting on a keg of powder, you know, or of gunpowder, if we ignore, you know, what is happening, to say it doesn't matter, and the people that are voting, let them just vote. No, you understand? You see, yes, democracy, we say that the minority will have their say and the majority will have their way. But even when the majority have their say, it still behoves us to now turn to the minority to say, okay, what you said, why are you saying it? What is the way forward? Okay, now we are in power. Maybe you have some point. Can we look into what we are saying? So we should not bask in the euphoria of victory. We should not be lost. We should not be carried away in the euphoria, even the victors now, in the euphoria of victory, not to look at some of the defects that are being pointed out within the system, and to see the way they can make some amendments.
All right, thank you so much. So, in other words, low turnout is a democratic signal. When we make this issue a conversation, I believe that when they continue to hear, even the people themselves, know that you are not doing the government. You're only doing yourself. We're doing ourselves when we don't go out to vote.
We need to. And I want to, my advice again to the opposition, even to the opposition.
Okay.
Please don't, scaremongering. Scaremongering is not good for the system. Scaremongering, a lot of scaremongering by the opposition. And when the people are scared away from the polls, don't turn back to say that the election has been rigged or not. You created the atmosphere. You understand? Don't create fear in the minds of the people. So that to the opposition. And to the ruling party, I want to say that please, you may be benefiting from the imperfection within the system today, but don't forget that the tides can turn. Tides can turn against you. As it turned against PDP thought it was going to be in power, till eternity. But see now, you understand, they are in opposition. Now what they failed to do when they were in opposition, and when they were the ruling power, when they were the ruling party, what they failed to do is now haunting them. You understand? I could remember that this issue of electronic voting and all of that started under PDP.
Yes.
PDP waved it aside then. You understand? Thinking that it will always benefit from the system, but see where PDP is now. Now they are now crying, blue mother. You understand? So even when you are the ruling party, please, do things that can endure. Bring, enduring changes into the system that can really strengthen our democracy. And to the people, we must never lose hope. It is the country that we have gotten, and together we must see how we change things in this country.
Wow, thank you so much for that closing. Very fantastic way to end the conversation, because everyone has their responsibilities. Elections or democracy does not survive only on ballots, but on citizens who believe that those ballots matter. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, so that's where we end this conversation on this very interesting and very important topic about voter apathy. It rests on you. We'll go on to the next segment of the program, and we'll be talking about the